I'm Hindrichs, and I'm so delighted that you've joined me for this lecture. It's one that I think is really, really important. So you can see that from the words of Thomas Edison here. This is something I live by. The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest the patient in the care and function of the human form, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. So that's what I really want to talk about today, is more about the prevention of the disease. Because if we can take care of our bodies, we should know vitality and wellness into our late years. When we're talking about wellness and about the body, going right back down into the basics, into the requirements of the cell, that's when we're going to find out a lot about how the body works. So let's just break it down. We've got these trillions and trillions of cells in our body. They each have 3 basic needs. And those needs are energy, protection, and resilience. So first off, let's take energy. Why does a cell need energy? Well, it needs energy to do work. And that work could be reproduction, it could be healing, could be chemical reactions, who knows? But it's the work the cell was designed to do. It needs protection because you know what? Those individual cells, they live in an incredible world. They're surrounded by intercellular fluid, there's all sorts of nasties out there, there's a changing environment constantly, and they've got to be protected from that outside world. So that cellular wall is separating the internal organelles of a cell from that exterior world. And finally, the cell needs resilience. It needs resilience because there's constant change. Every time I drink a bit of water, eat something, whether that something is good or bad, changing temperatures, I'm changing the environment that cell lives in on a continuous basis. So the cell needs to be able to adapt. It has to have that resiliency. So energy, resiliency, and protection are the 3 things that every cell needs. And if we can give it that, we're going to have a healthy cell. On the other hand, what are the causes of cellular damage? What's breaking down those cells, which is obviously going to lead to disease? Well, Big E is poor nutrition, inflammation, and toxicity. Toxicity is in our environment all around us. Anything that goes on your skin is absorbed into the skin. I was reading a statistic the other day, 75% of what we put on our skin goes in. So read the labels on your personal care products. And in our environment too, obviously. Inflammation is something we'll get to a little bit later, and poor nutrition. Okay, that's the biggie, is poor nutrition. So let's talk about what is nutrition. When you put something into your mouth, goes down into your stomach, shoots into the small intestine. Now the small intestine is a bit of a misnomer, I think, because that small intestine is actually about 26 feet long. And when you break it down, it has all these incredible undulations inside, so these bumps. And on top of those bumps, there's more bumps, the villi. And on top of the villi, you've got the microvilli. So you kind of got bumps on your bumps on your bumps. So there's massive surface area inside the small intestine. And that's all there to absorb food. And if you look at this slide, you see where that little magnifying glass is. That's where the action is taking place. It's at the level of the microvilli. Those are the big workers in the small intestine. You take a close-up of this microvilli, and you can see each villi is penetrated by lymphatic tissue and cardiovascular tissue. So it's got a circulation and lymphatic tissue. So you've got this marriage between these 3 systems: digestion, circulation, and lymphatic. Fairly important stuff. So we can look at that structure and know there's going to be huge functions related to it. Now, normally what's happening in these villi is the microvilli, or the enterocytes, they're also called. They're being born in the crypt down in between the villi, and they migrate up the sides of the villi as they mature. And they're going to be fresh, they're going to be lively. They have these wonderful borders on them that do all the enzymic action. They're the workhorses of the digestive system. They're the ones that actually carry the enzymes, break down all of the food and whatnot. You can see that more close up. They're not really woolly, but they'd be really cute if they did. They have this bushy membrane full of enzymes. That's what's responsible for breaking down the food particles. And remember, we're not just what we eat, but what we absorb. So it's these little guys we're going to really watch out for, because if they're not doing their jobs, we're not absorbing stuff. So we just said before that all of our cells need protection. where these guys are protected by probiotics. And you can see in this slide here, this really unhappy little enterocyte, there's no probiotics around to protect him. So when our microbloom in the bowel, or our microflora, our good and bad bacteria, when they're out of balance, we don't have our good bacteria there, those enterocytes can't do their job. They're not being protected, they're not being produced at the regular rate, they're not maturing properly, they're often misshapen and misformed, they're just not doing the job. So it's the probiotics' job to take care of the enterocytes, but probiotics do a whole lot more. I think you've been hearing a lot more about probiotics in the news. Hopefully you have, and hopefully your doctors will tell you about probiotics as well. So probiotics have a lot of uses. They help decrease blood glucose levels. They help you to improve glucose tolerance. So big benefit for diabetics or for pre-diabetes. You want to have that glucose tolerance in there, preventing bowel cancer, and they play a big role in bile metabolism as well. Bile metabolism is what breaks down fat, so another really important function. On the nutritive side, our probiotics are responsible for the production of vitamin K. If you haven't heard of vitamin K yet, you're going to. It's going to be the next vitamin darling. Remember we had vitamin E was the darling, and then vitamin C, then vitamin D. Vitamin K is going to be next. Now, if we go back to the 1930s, I believe it was, we had a very famous dentist, nutritionist by the name of Dr. Weston Price. And Dr. Weston Price, he went around the world, he was looking for the causes of degenerative disease and degenerative teeth, I guess, as well. He did a lot of pictures of, what do you call those? He took a lot of pictures of indigenous people, specifically of their dental arches. And he noticed that those people that were in a traditional diet with lots of bone broth, like the paleo diet basically, they tended to be strong, good bone structure, didn't have any chronic diseases, lived good and healthy lives. As soon as they introduced the Western diet, they found that these people started to develop a lot of degenerative diseases, and one of the telling features was the narrowing of the arch, the dental arch. Some kind of interesting stuff there. One of the things he identified was a vitamin that he didn't know the name of, and now we know this is vitamin K. And our vitamin K is produced by our probiotics. Super important stuff. Our probiotics also help us to digest lactase. Or lactose. They produce lactase, which helps to digest lactose, which is milk protein. So milk dairy allergies have a good indicator that something's wrong with your probiotics as well. They also produce a lot of B vitamins, B1, 2, 6, and 12. Those are all super important for adrenal function. And they also assist in break down amino acids. And if you remember back to grade school biology, amino acids are the building blocks for all proteins. So everything we're going to build in our bodies, we need those amino acids for. And something else we really want to pay attention to is that serotonin. 90% of our serotonin is being produced in the gut, not in the brain, we think it was, but in the gut. Serotonin is that wonderful neurotransmitter that calms everything down. It's the self-soother, it's the feel-good neurotransmitter. So we want a lot of that. So again, that's our probiotics that help us to produce that. So between them, our probiotics and our enterocytes, they have a huge job, right? Between brain and nervous tissue, we're going to be getting all the nutrients that we need for the endocrine system, for hormonal balance, and for the immune system. This always got me, because I'm an RN. I'm tired now, an RN. But one of the things we never looked at was the gut and immune function. Now we've figured that about 80 to 85% of immune function actually takes place in the gut. So how does it do that? How do probiotics affect our immune system? Well, one of the things that they do is they inactivate histamine. Histamine is responsible in the inflammation reaction. It's a chemical mediator that's released when a cell's damaged, and that calls in all sorts of reinforcement to either destroy the cell or help fix it. That's when we get inflammation. They have neutralized toxins, so a lot of those toxins that are in our environment, our probiotics are able to neutralize, again, by different chemicals that the probiotics secrete. And they can also chelate out heavy metals. And when you chelate or chelate something, it means that you grab onto it and you take it out to be excreted without it acting on the body. So that's a pretty important thing as well. When we talk about decreasing risk of bowel cancer with our probiotics, they do that in two ways. They absorb a lot of the carcinogenic material that we might be ingesting, so they're going to neutralize that. And the other way that they help is to suppress hypoplastic activity. So whenever we're looking at bowel cancer, again, we want to really look at what are our probiotics. What are our probiotics doing? What is our probiotic load? We have a lot of different probiotics in our gut. And I don't think at this point in time we actually know what they all are. One of the other things that bifidobacterium, one of the probiotics that inhabits our gut, it releases something called a myrilyl peptide. And these are really interesting chemicals because they do a lot of signaling. They actually communicate to our lymphatic system. And they tell our lymphatic system to stimulate lymphocyte production, and that lymphocyte production is going to have this cascade effect of producing some immunoglobulins, specifically some secretory ones, and those immunoglobulins are what help maintain our mucous membrane. Now the mucous membrane, just think about that for a second. Where is it? That mucous membrane is running from our mouth right through to the other end. We also have some mucous membrane around our eyes. Anywhere we open to the external world, we have a mucous membrane. And that's because this is an area of heavy protection. This is the first interface with the dangerous external world, it's dangerous from a germ perspective. So getting a lot of protection in our mucous membrane. These are the big soldiers, right? So we want to support them. We want a healthy mucous membrane as a part of a healthy immune system, as the primary defense barrier. The other thing that probiotics do is they tend to have a conversation with our lymphatic tissue, and they help teach the lymphatic tissue, specifically some of the white blood cells, the macrophages and the neutrophils. They teach them self from non-self. So those macrophages and neutrophils are white blood cells that go around the body and they kind of gobble up bad guys. But if they don't know who a bad guy is and who a good guy is, we could end up with autoimmune diseases, right? So we see a lot of autoimmune disease when our probiotics are out of whack. Stay here for a second. So I'm going to just tell you a little story right now. My story is I've got multiple sclerosis. Now, if we go back in time, or back in my time, apparently I was a bit of a sickly child and had a lot of antibiotics. And what do antibiotics do? They clean everything out of the gut. So here I was without that protection of my probiotics, winding up with multiple sclerosis eventually. Now I did a lot when I was first diagnosed, because at that point in time I was told that I would be in a wheelchair by the end of the year and I would never walk again. And I went off and did a lot of study, etc., changed my diet, changed my nutrition, and probiotics was one of the things that that was pretty key in my recovery. The other thing that probiotics do is they help the body to produce interferons and cytokines. Again, these are different chemicals within the body, or cells within the body, that help to destroy viruses. And viruses are something that reproduce on the inside of the cell, very, very difficult to get at. And so when we have things like interferon and cytokines, these cycles that the body produces are what protect us from viral assault. So all disease begins in the gut. Hippocrates said this back in 460 or 370 BC, somewhere in there, but thousands of years ago, and we know this. He was also one that said that food be your medicine, medicine be your food. We know now that our health depends on not just what we eat, but on what we are able to absorb. Here's just a few of the different bacteria that we have in the gut. I want you to stop and think about this. We have 1.5 to 2 kilos of bacteria in the gut. To the weight of that, 1.5 to 2 kilos. That's a huge mass of things that we can't even see. There's in fact so many bacteria in the gut. There are 10 bacteria for every human cell. It's remarkable. We're actually walking bags of bugs. We're more bug than human. So we need to take care of these bacteria. Now we've talked a lot about what the probiotics do in our body, but what happens when they aren't there? What can go wrong? What happens when we have antibiotics which kill off everything unselectively? What happens with chemical exposure, poor nutrition, birth control, immunosuppressive drugs, mercury fillings, GMOs? What we know what a GMO is, that's a genetically modified organism like wheat, corn. The different GMOs out there have actually been designed to kill bacteria. So although a GMO may or may not be safe on a human cell, it is not safe on your gut bacteria. And that's where we're getting huge problems. So we're seeing increases in leaky gut since the advent of GMOs. So any of these things can cause a disruption, imbalance in our probiotics in the gut, which can lead to a lot of problems. First off of that, with that decrease of our good bacteria, we're losing our protection, and we're bound to have a candida overgrowth. Now, candida normally exists in a healthy balance in everybody's system, but when it's in a healthy balance, it's floating around as single-cell organisms. When we get a candida overgrowth, it becomes a sheet that lines the wall of the small intestine. It decreases that enterocyte function, those little blue cells that we saw earlier that help us to break down and absorb food. It's also going to change the pH of the stomach. This is really, it's going to make the stomach pH a little more alkaline, which is a really serious thing. And I'm telling you about that in just a second. Also going to have a lot of intoxication and create some toxic byproducts. So normally what happens in the stomach, when we get these long proteins from grain or from dairy, we get these long chain proteins that come into the gut, and the gut's got a high enough acid, and that high acid is going to trigger different enzymes, and those enzymes will break down those long chain proteins, shoot it into the small intestine, where your healthy enterocytes and your healthy probiotics can break those proteins, or those short chain proteins, down into amino acids, our healthy building blocks. So a healthy gut, acid stomach, activates enzymes, helps break everything down, so you get smaller chains shooting into the small intestine. Healthy gut bacteria and enterocytes break that down into the building blocks that we need for everything. But in the case of a candida overgrowth, where we are decreasing that acidic level, we're making the stomach more alkaline, now I can't set off that enzyme. So when I'm ingesting those same grains and lactose, the grain proteins and lactose proteins, they come into my stomach, I can't break them down properly. So I shoot longer chains out into the small intestine. But wait, I don't have good bacteria there anymore. And I've got this candida overgrowth. So instead of getting that breakdown of amino acids, I'm getting these things called casomorphins and luteomorphins, and those are not good. We actually see an increase in casomorphins and luteomorphins in things like autism, schizophrenia, ADHD, psychosis, depression, autoimmune diseases. Just think that whole scope of autoimmune diseases. So we're seeing all of this associated with those increases in casomorphins and luteomorphins. But there's more. When we have our carbohydrates, we're ingesting those carbohydrates, and they normally go through this wonderful process called glycolysis. And in glycolysis, carbohydrates become water, lactic acid, and energy. We need water, and we definitely need that energy. That's one of our cellular requirements. But when we're not having that glycolysis happen normally, carbohydrates are coming into candida territory. Instead of being broken down into our energy, water, and lactic acid, it's getting broken down into alcohol, acetaldehyde, and toxic byproducts. We've got problems here in River City now. We're also going to have a lot of gut lining damage, which is going to have malabsorption and probably some leaky gut going on there as well. And we're going to have all these functional deficiencies because we're not absorbing what we need. Although I'm eating it, I'm taking it in, but functionally, I'm going to have deficiencies in vitamins, I'm going to have deficiencies in minerals, I'm going to have deficiency in amino acids. And this is going to end up damaging my immune system as well. So Candida produces alcohol. It's one of the things it does, which we know is toxic to the liver. So here we have this liver that's being faced with a bit of a leaky gut, all sorts of increased toxins coming in through the gut, and we're adding further assault of putting alcohol on it. So the liver is being compromised for doing its job of detoxifying the body. So all the drugs, all the pollutants, all the toxins that are coming in are going to have increased toxicity to them. When we look at liver damage, not only do we have a decreased ability to detoxify things, one of the liver's other jobs is to recycle things. So normally we're getting used body parts, sounds like hemoglobin, different things like that are coming in to the liver where those complex structures are broken down and the parts are used. But if we can't do that, we can't recycle what we already have. We're not absorbing new stuff. So we end up with a lot of deficiencies going on because our liver has been impacted by this candida overgrowth as well. And this can lead to a lot of behavioral problems as well. Acetaldehyde is the other byproduct of candida overgrowth. And what acetaldehyde does is it blocks the cellular receptor sites for thyroid hormone. Now, whenever we have a hormone or something run action on a cell to send a specific message and do something, the outside of the cell is covered with cellular receptors, with receptor sites. And these hormones or any chemical messenger will go on, land on that receptor site, and through a chemical series of messaging, that message gets into inside the cell. But if it can't land on the receptor site, it can't get my message in. So then I have a functional thyroid deficiency. I could have all the thyroid hormone landing, but it's not getting to the cell. So brain damage, some things we see is decrease in self-control, decreased coordination, poor speech development, aggression, mental retardation, memory loss, stupor, nerve damage, altered senses, muscle damage, brain fog. Anybody out there ever suffer from brain fog? That's another one of the candida kisses. And there's more to this. It's not just you that candida overgrowth is going to affect, it's also going to be your children. There's generational cycles with the candida overgrowth. So unfortunately, all of those products that we talked about, all those byproducts of candida overgrowth, like castor-morphines, gluteomorphines, acetaldehyde, alcohol, etc., those cross the placental barrier and they affect the growing embryo, the growing child. There was another study done back in the 1930s called Pottinger's cats. Now, Dr. Pottinger was actually doing animal experimentation to look at adrenal function. He had several cats, and they were all undergoing multiple surgeries to see what was happening with their adrenals. So Dr. Pottinger, being a scientist, kind of figures, okay, I'm going to study these cats as things go along. And he did a 10-year generational study on these cats. He split them into groups and decided to feed one group like a scientifically studied cooked diet, and the other group he did a raw food diet with. Now, the raw food diet kitties, they just acted like kitties. They would produce more kittens. They were kind of affectionate and cute and cuddly, and they would grow up and make more kittens, and the cycle would repeat and repeat and repeat. The other cats, the ones that were fed this highly developed scientific cooked diet, they found that the next generation, the cats were actually, it was elongated forearms. So they were seeing some skeletal changes. Do you remember back when I was talking about Dr. Weston Price, when we talked about the skeletal changes in humans of the jaw when we introduced core nutrition? Well, we're seeing something very similar here in the cats when we're introducing a different diet, not a natural diet, but a processed diet, basically. So the first generation, we're seeing this change in the skeleton, but in subsequent generations, we're seeing more infertility in the cats, more stillborn kittens, and the cats are becoming aggressive, they've got behavior difficulties, etc. They found that by the 5th generation, the cats were no longer reproducing. And that's pretty scary, so the cats became infertile. The good news is that when we changed the cats' diets, they got better. We did resume making more babies, having more kittens, and those kittens born to healthier moms were not as challenged as the kittens of the unhealthy moms. So what happens with our kids? When our kids are born with candida overgrowth, and one of the things I want to caution you, if you've had a C-section, if a child born by C-section, they're not getting inoculated with mom's bacteria, because normally when they're going through the vaginal canal, there's an inoculation that happens there. And then again with breastfeeding, they're getting inoculated with mom's bacteria. So mom is responsible for baby's bacteria. And it's usually about a 28-day inoculation period. So that colostrum that they're getting in the first bit of mother's milk, super, super important for populating the child's gut with good bacteria. Some of the things that we're going to see with kids that have a candida overgrowth are constant colds, irritability, asthma, skin rashes, hyperactivity, sleep problems, digestive issues, attention deficits, and ear problems. This really gets me into ear problems. What do we do when a child has ear problems? Give them antibiotics. What do those antibiotics do? They kill off what good gut they do have. So we really have a problem here with our use of antibiotics. Don't get me wrong. If I need antibiotics, I want to be able to take them, but I want to make sure I'm going to take care of my bowel health at the same time. I'm going to take care of my probiotics too. Some common symptoms that we're going to see for candida overgrowth are sugar cravings, bothered by fatigue, headaches, depression, food sensitivities, muscle aches and pains, chemical sensitivities, memory loss. Who here goes to the kitchen and forgets what it was they were forgetting? How often do we do that? It's not just aging, it's a product of what's going on in our bodies. Seeing more and more digestive symptoms, asthma, tingling, sinusitis, acne, and chronic hives. These are all things we're going to see when we have a healthy gut. It's a huge connection between gut, skin, brain, organs. So whenever we're seeing stuff, think of the gut. So more serious symptoms of candida overgrowth are Crohn's disease, scleroderma, myasthenia gravis, eczema, lupus, psoriasis, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and intestinal cystitis. Now I said before that I had multiple sclerosis, and this is where I come in. So through altering diet, at that point in time, I need to tell you, I didn't have a bad diet. My husband and I, we were vegetarian at that point in time. We were on an organic walks program. I cooked everything from scratch. In those days, we did raw tofu. I made my own tofu. I made my own nut milks. We had everything fresh, whole. We had really good food. But even despite all of that incredibly good food, I was not able to absorb it because I didn't have the healthy gut bacteria. So when we're altering things, it's not just a matter of changing diet, it's also repopulating that gut bacteria, getting rid of the candida. So women are special. We get a few extra special things. Recurrent vaginal infections, PMS, endometriosis, infertility, recurrent urinary tract infections, and penile intercourse. Now, the recurrent vaginal infections, I remember as a little kid having vaginal infections all the time, but it was prepubescent, and so nobody believed me that I could have, because you couldn't have a vaginal infection if you weren't past puberty, was the belief at that point in time. So I actually had a lot of early signs and symptoms that there was something not in balance in my body. Had we known then, what I know now, my outcome in health would have been totally different growing up. So is there hope? I've seen some pretty dire stories of what can happen with candida, and yes, there's a lot of hope of what we can do. So now I want to show you what you can do to get yourself healthy. And I recommend this for everybody. Even if nothing's going on right now, make sure on a yearly basis you're stopping and taking a really good look at what's going on inside your gut and getting it right up to snuff. You want it to function hugely. So whenever we're looking at some sort of a healing, some sort of getting well, supporting the body, we want to address all the problems. So we've identified all the problems just through this talk. First off, we want to increase probiotics, right? Those are our big guys. Our probiotics are what are producing all the nutritional things that we need. They're helping to break down different foods, and they're protecting our enterocytes. They're producing our serotonin. They have so many functions, these probiotics. We want to make sure we're upping those. We want to eliminate candida. Candida is bad stuff. We've got different products that we can use to help eliminate candida. We want to cut out everything that feeds candida, so we cut off that supply chain, right? This is a bit of war, so that's all the sugars, all of those simple things for carbohydrates. We want to get rid of those. We want to look at enzyme support, another really important one. Why enzyme support? It's because our enterocytes aren't functioning well. When we're in a state of candida overgrowth, the body's not able to break things down. So we want to throw some enzymes in there to help break things down, help get that absorption happen, help the body to heal itself. We need to have the liver support, because again, that candida overgrowth is damaging the liver. The liver has over 600 or 700 functions. I don't know, I read something different all the time. So we need to make sure we get that liver support in there. We also want to boost our immune support during this time, because they're probably a lot more susceptible to picking up other assaults to the body. Looking at vitamin mineral support as well, because again, without those healthy enterocytes and that healthy probiotics, we're not getting what we need. So we want to do good vitamin mineral supplements. Vitamin mineral supplements are something actually that we want to do all the time, simply because we're not getting what we need even when we're eating a really healthy diet. And finally, looking at our lifestyle. Lots of changes need to happen in lifestyle often. It's an ongoing thing. So lifestyle, I like to call our health style. So how can we change our health style? First thing is nutrition. Nutrition is the thing that we have most control over, and it's the most powerful thing we can do to ourselves. Basically, nutrition is whole food. Exercise, between the two of them, nutrition and exercise, that's 85% of your ability to get well. It's right there. You're going to decrease chronic disease, you're going to look better, feel better, be better by paying attention to exercise and nutrition. We need exercise. You can't get away from exercise at all. I don't care what kind of diets that you're on. If they don't tell you to exercise, they are wrong. Exercise is needed for the body to help create some of the neurotransmitters, and basically dopamine and norepinephrine are being stimulated by exercise. They help the lymphatic system, they help us detoxify, they're oxygenating cells. There's so much that happens in the body that moves. So exercise is something you cannot escape. So nutrition, exercise, decreasing the toxic load, being selective on what we take into our bodies, read labels. Take a look at those things that are not good for you. Emotional balance is another really important one. I spent a lot of time studying traditional Chinese medicine, and they talk about emotions leading to different problems. So you'll see that if there's a lot of anger, that tends to be it's going to be ending up with liver problems. A lot of worry can be ending up with kidney problems. So it's really interesting how they look at your emotional body affecting your physical body. I think we know that when we do mind, body, spirit. Our emotions definitely affect our health. So becoming emotionally conscious, regular cleansing, really important for everybody. And then self-actualization, that's sort of the pinnacle of human progress, is that each person is here, I think, self-actualized, not just a good language. So whole food, what is whole food? Whole food, I think, is not processed. You want it to be clean, fresh, lots of variety, get all your colors. Most important thing is no GMOs, no genetic organisms, no pesticides, and no poisons. A few of those foods out there carry huge pesticide loads. So do your research, dig down, take a look at the Environmental Working Group sites. They've got some excellent material on food and which ones are carrying a huge toxic load. We want to follow clues of nutrition. We need to get those metabolic energy cofactors going again. Again, that's going to be from your vitamins and your minerals, from your We want your essential fatty acids, really important essential fatty acids for cell wall formation, also for nerve conduction, a number of other things. And looking at vitamins and minerals as well. We need vitamins and minerals for blood clotting. We need them for cellular health, for the formation of different hormones. The list, what the body needs for nutrition, what the body does with nutrition is endless. We don't live without food. So going back to what the requirements of the cell were, one of the things we talked about was protection. The cell needs protection. It needs protection from chronic inflammation. Now, inflammation, we talked a little bit about. Inflammation is when you have that histamine release, when the cells are saying, I'm not okay. Generally, we get that from free radical production. Free radicals when you have a free electron kind of floating around, and a free electron kind of steals from another cell or from another molecule, damaging that molecule that sends out another sign for help, which causes, it's a vicious cycle, it causes more and more inflammation. So inflammation tends to cause more inflammation. And what we're seeing now is that chronic inflammation is a root cause for things like chronic pain, heart disease, brain disease, some cancers, immune disorders. So we really want to do what we can to minimize inflammation. We get, one of the ways we can minimize inflammation is through antioxidants. We get antioxidants through food, so having good food choices are going to give you some of the antioxidants you need. And then others are made in the body. So again, supporting the body to do its job is going to give you a lot of antioxidants. Those antioxidants, what they're doing is helping the body to decrease the release of free radicals. Now, the company that I work with is called doTERRA, and I love doTERRA. They have incredible integrity, and the products that they're producing are fantastic. I'm going to use doTERRA products for how I describe what I would do for candida overgrowth. If you don't want to use doTERRA, find another product that you know is going to be similar. Don't know what you'll find out there, but this one, the Alpha CRS, is one of my favorite products. It's an incredible one. What Alpha CRS does, it actually helps with creation of new mitochondria. Mitochondria is little engines in the cells that do work. And so you're feeling an increase in energy. Not only that, it causes the mitochondria to clean better, so it's a decrease in antioxidant production. That decrease in antioxidant production is going to be a decrease in inflammation. Really, really important stuff. I'm using all food grade factors in there to create these, to create the antioxidants. There's also a lot of cofactors in there for the efficient functioning of the body in the CRS. And that's going to help with the body's requirement for energy as well. They also manage the toxic mitochondrial byproducts. Again, that's the additional free radicals that can be released when you have less healthy producing mitochondria. As we age, our mitochondria tend to not be as efficient as they were when we were younger. So as you age, this is the kind of product you want to start bringing into your repertoire of supplements. The other cellular part is resilience. We want to say, okay, what kind of resilience can I bring to the cell? Cellular resiliency is often about the cell wall. And the cell wall is where we want to look at essential fatty acids. The cell wall is a bilipid water layer. So it's a water fat is the layer of the membrane. And we now think of that membrane as being the brain of the cell. It's reacting to its external environment. So whatever signals are hitting that cell wall are telling the inside of the cell what to do. So we want to have a really, really healthy, strong cell wall, and that's where we need our essential fatty acids and good quality essential fatty acids. And this is where I use mine, is the Omega, which is also a doTERRA product. It has incredible essential fatty acids. And what I can tell you from this one is having MS and resolving most of my MS symptoms through nutrition, I have done every vitamin supplement on the market, and every essential fatty acid. Essential fatty acids were one of the key things I had to work with. And many of them, I would get this feeling afterwards. Some of them are effective. Often I just kind of go, ugh, and I had huge problems with being compliant with taking everything I had to, until I found the essential fatty acids by doTERRA, the Z-omega. And one of the things they do in there is they put essential oils in the essential fatty acids, which stabilize them. The essential fatty acids are inherently unstable, and so they go rancid basically, which is why you get that feeling when you take those essential fatty acids. So with the doTERRA ones, with that clove oil in there to stabilize, they're still good, they're stable, they work. The other thing we talked about was needing that vitamins and minerals. Because of all the functional deficiencies that we're going to have, we need the vitamins and minerals. We don't need super mega doses, we need them in what the body requires. What I love about the systems that doTERRA has, that they have these fabulous delivery systems built into the capsule wall of the vitamin minerals. So everything is going through the intestinal wall into the lymphatic system, into the blood system. So we're getting all those vitamins and minerals that we need. So together this is called the Lifelong Vitality Pack, and it is the best bang for your buck I think you're going to see anywhere. So these are my top three, and I use this all the time, and I can tell you my energy levels since I started this product has just, it's been fabulous. The ORAC scale, which is the oxidation reduction scale basically, is, I don't know if you know what these numbers what these numbers are, but basically if you look at that and you go, wow. Something like blueberries has an antioxidant score of 222, and that's considered really, really high. The antioxidant score in these three products together is off the chart. So again, lots of anti-inflammation is going on here. The antioxidant protection is so necessary. And we're seeing a lot of other of the antioxidant important blends in there. So we've got polyphenol blend, which is an alpha blend. We're seeing a carotenoid blends, the alpha lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, antioxidant essential oils, antioxidant vitamins and minerals. All of these things, there's a lot of attention going into that whole inflammation piece. When you have a candida overgrowth or any kind of overgrowth like that, you are going to have inflammation. Whenever you have gut problems, you're going to have inflammation. So we need that antioxidant action in the body as well. We talked about enzyme support. And here I like to use Terrazyme. Now Terrazyme has multiple types of enzymes and building blocks for enzymes. So it can break down the food, making it available for absorption. And the interesting thing about Terrazyme, when you take it on an empty stomach, those enzymes that absorb into the body do work elsewhere. Every chemical reaction in the body has an enzymic factor in there to help it take place. So we need enzymes throughout our system to do a lot of different work. Curiously enough, we've seen enzyme support being really effective for people of Asian descent with strange types of eczema. They don't respond as well to traditional methods of treating eczema. We found that when they get on enzymes, like a Terrazyme product, it supports their body to heal and get rid of this the enzyme, the eczema, which I thought was really interesting. Rule of thumb, when you're taking enzymes or taking the Terrazyme, you want to do 3 capsules for cooked food. Sometimes as soon as food goes above 118 degrees, you're killing all the natural enzymes in there. Raw food, you might just want to take 1. The next part I want to look at is probiotics, or PB Assist. Incredible probiotics there. A real mix of different types of probiotics as well. Really important stuff in there. Now, whenever I'm traveling, I make sure I take this with me. When I'm at home, we make our own kefir, we make our own sauerkraut, we make our own yogurt. And if you're going to do that, great. Feel free to make your own. But I think you also need some of these other probiotics. One of the things I really love about this product is its capsule protects it, gets it through the stomach, so it's released in the small intestine, and it has a prebiotic as well. So it's got something in there to feed the probiotics so they can start to do their job. So super important stuff with the probiotics. I take them all the time. I want you to make sure you really take them after antibiotics. So anytime you're something like antibiotics, pay attention for the next 28 days. Next 28 days after antibiotics, you are focused on getting gut healthy again, okay? Other one is Eliminate Candida, and this is GX Assist, another brilliant product. Now in this product, we have caprylic acid and a lot of essential oils. The caprylic acid and the essential oils together are going to kill off nasty pathogenic bacteria in there, as well as killing off the candida. Now this one is going to take in short stretches. You don't want to be on this one all the time, okay? But for a cleanse, you certainly do this. Now, some people will recommend that you take first one, take this, the GX Assist for say 10 days, and then the other one for 10 days, the PB Assist for 10 days. It doesn't quite make sense to me. I take them both. I'll take the GX Assist in the morning and the PB Assist at night. So what's happening when you take this GX Assist? It's killing off lots of the candida, killing off lots of the nasties. But then they start to grow again. So as soon as they're all killed off, I'm going to throw in my good guys, my heroes, to repopulate that intestinal wall. So I'm going to get some, so that I can fight back and take back territory. If you're getting too much of the die off, you might start to feel okay, have different symptoms going on. You wake up high, feel really high, feel really tired, get headachy, etc. Make sure you're drinking lots of water during this process. If it becomes too much, back off a little bit, okay? Liver support, again, super important. Now, Zendocrine oil is one of my favorites. It's a beautiful oil. You can either purchase this oil in capsules and just ingest it, or you can take the oils, put a few drops on your hand, and just rub it over your liver for absorption. Because anything we put on our skin, remember, is absorbing. So essential oils tend to absorb the skin really well. Just doing a little bit of massage and keeping your hand over some warmth will help. In the Zendocrine blend, we have clove oil, which is a really powerful antioxidant, one of the most powerful antioxidants known. We have grapefruit oil. It's a wonderful one for adrenal support and kidney support, really important stuff again. And then we'll look at rosemary, again, endocrine support, all this endocrine function that we want to have, a communication, the body working well, and then geranium oil, which is super for the liver. Interestingly enough, geranium is one of those oils that's great for skin, but whenever you have something wrong in the skin, it's big liver, organs of detoxification, right? So when the liver's not working well, it's going to come out on the skin. The next one is Zendocrine capsules. I know it's kind of confusing here. White bottle, these are herbal capsule, and this is getting the pipes clean basically. We want to use this Zendocrine capsule to help with the large intestine, clean out the bowel. You want to eat a little bit on a regular basis, right? Ideally twice a day. We want to make sure the kidneys are cleaned out, the lungs, the skin, all of our organs of elimination. We want to make sure those are running freely so we can get rid of those toxins. The Zendocrine capsules, I hope you recognize all the herbs in here. We've got barberry leaf and milk thistle, burdock root, clove nut, dandelion root, garlic fruit, red clover. All of those are beautiful for the liver, nice bitter herbs in there. The kidneys, we've got Turkish rhubarb stem, more burdock root, clove bud, dandelion. So all of these herbs in there tend to be the bitter ones. Really, really good for cleansing. Of course, there's psyllium sea mask in there to help clean the colon as well. And there's kelp in there too. Kelp is, I live out on the west coast of Vancouver Island, and so we get seaweeds all over the place. I think that we are just so incredibly blessed because those seaweeds, those kelps, are full of nutrient value and cleansing value. They're just absolutely superheroes in the nutrition front. Lemon oil is another thing you wanted to do. Lemon oil is a gorgeous oil. It smells happy. Huge for just raising your mood as well. And it's a cleanser oil. It does great stuff in helping to dissolve petroleum products in the liver. So it breaks down petroleum. So if I were to pour a drop on a piece of styrofoam, it would eat right through the styrofoam. But it's safe enough for you to ingest. It actually works well for the liver. It helps clean it out. So I generally take a few, maybe 2 or 3 drops of lemon oil in water first thing in the morning and drink that up. A lot of people do that with lemon juice. One of the things about lemon juice though is lemon juice tends to be really hard on the tooth enamel, so your dentist would really appreciate it if you started to take lemon oil instead. So the other thing we want to do is decrease our toxic load. One of the ways that we can do that is by taking doTERRA essential oils, the certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils, rather than over-the-counter drugs. This is really important because over-the-counter drugs carry a lot of side effects, huge amounts of side effects. We're seeing ibuprofen causes more leaky damage in the gut. A lot of the side effects of pharmaceuticals are either on the liver, on the gut, or on the kidneys. So when we can use an essential oil instead and have it support the body and heal, it can be a really positive thing. Again, we want to make sure we're using, I want to make sure you're using doTERRA essential oils. At least 75% of the oils that we see on the shelves are adulterated somehow. So finding a certified pure therapeutic grade, you have to have a high grade essential oils. Don't bother. If you see an oil that's like $5 at the health food store, don't bother. It's not going to be doing what you want it to do. And when we start using essential oils, we have really positive environmental effects as well, which always makes me happy. Looking at other ways to decrease the toxic load is what kind of products we use on our skin. So we have a lot of skin products that we can use that are toxin-free. Again, environmental working group is a great one to check out different chemicals. Find stuff that's really clean. When we look at mood management, how we manage our moods, essential oils can be your friend. They do a lot of studies, huge things we can do with mood management essential oils. Look for another video from me. I'm going to do one specifically on mood management. I think you'll find it really interesting. Choosing a friendly environment. So using essential oils in your environment to decrease the toxic load around you. Clean with essential oils. Again, really, really simple stuff that we can do there. So this is your recovery protocol for looking at Candida recovery. This is something that I would use for myself if I know that I had a Candida overload. I'm going to cut out all sugars. That's including alcohol, fruit juices. Remember, fruit juice, huge amount of sugar in fruit juice. We want to get rid of white sugar, white flour, of all flours. So we want to get rid of those gluten chains and the casein chains, because in the Candida environment, we're not doing well with those. So we're going to cut those out right now. We're going to cut out all sugar. Wine is sugar. I hate to say that, but it's true. We also want to cut out the GMO products, because those GMO products are killing probiotics as well. We're going to stay away from other chemicals, antibiotics, and pesticides. Again, all those things are either hurting our good guys or promoting Candida. Drink 80% of your body weight in water. It's going to help 80% of your body weight in ounces of water. It's going to really help flush things out. And all of your cells need water. We need to be hydrated. Use that lifelong vitality pack. We know the CRS, essential fatty acids, the omega, and those supplements. They're just bang on. Looking at enzymes, use the Terrazyme each day. Looking at a probiotic, use that PD Assist. We have something that will kill the Candida, so GX Assist is great for that one. And then xanthan oil in capsules to help support the liver and clean out all the organs of elimination. And then lemon oil, or another one called lemon sassy, will help again clean the liver. And this lemon sassy has the added benefit that also helps to stabilize blood sugars. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope you'll join me for some further videos, and I really look forward to having you live a healthier, happier life.